Today I'm installing a brand new flywheel, a brand new stage 2 clutch, and all the accessories that go along with it. All because of this. Can never catch a break, man. My clutch is completely toast. All the way down, won't go into gear. I don't know what to do anymore. I'm just gonna get rid of it. So before we lift the car up, we're gonna get our 36mm breaker bar, and we're gonna go ahead and loosen the axles. It's gonna make it easier for me, taking off the chassis, so it's not as much weight on there. Poke the screwdriver. Oh shit. There it goes. We're gonna disconnect the negative just because we're gonna be working with a lot of electrical parts. We don't want to short anything out. So now I'm gonna lift the car. It's lifting. Okay, so next I'm gonna drain the transmission oil. This is the filler plug and this is the drain plug. But before we do the drain plug, I wanna loosen the filler plug just to make sure it's gonna get loose and it won't get seized. Because if you don't take it off, then you're not gonna be able to fill your transmission back up. You're just gonna push it up and then come loose. So now we're gonna do the drain plug. And I'm gonna get a 3/8 ratchet. I'm gonna break this loose. I took out the fill bolt so that it could bend a little bit. Now I'm gonna take out the drain bolt. I'm gonna hold it here just for a bit because I don't want it to come out full force. As this is draining out, I wanna inspect the oil that's coming out. Make sure it's not glittery. Make sure there's no big chunks of metal in there. It's really dark in color, so I mean, that just indicates that it hasn't been changed in a while. It should be fine. Okay, after you let it drain out enough, I'm just gonna put this bolt back on and the top bolt as well, just so it's not spilling everywhere when we take off the transmission. We'll torque it down later. So next thing I'm gonna do is remove these shift link bushings. Just gonna take this cotter pin out. Boom, one. And then go to the second one. People will take off the whole bracket with this whole assembly on there. I'm just gonna take off the clip. I'm just gonna remove the intake first just to get it out of the way so I have a bit more room. You can see I'm just twisting this screwdriver just so it pops up little by little. I'm gonna do the same to this side. This doesn't come straight out. This kind of engages right here. So you push it back and then you can pull it out. That clears the little gap and then these are out of the way. And now we're gonna do the second one. The next thing I'm gonna do is take off this solenoid right here. This is what actuates the fork. I have a new master cylinder and solenoid coming in. So I'm gonna install that when it does. I'm just gonna go around and disconnect every wire that we see. We don't want anything to get pulled or destroyed. That would be catastrophic. Okay, and then there is one more back here. As you guys recall, that's our speed sensor that we replaced a while back. Go ahead and unplug that. Next, I'm just taking the whole front end off. Okay, so I tried to take this axle out and it's not popping off, so I'm just gonna remove the whole axle plus the mid shaft here. I'm gonna take this bolt out right here, and I'm gonna take this whole piece out. And then while I'm down here, I'm gonna take off my sway bars as well, because that's connected to the chassis. Okay, so I'm almost ready to take off the transmission. Now we gotta drop the subframe. That's gonna be the hardest part because I am doing it alone. My cameraman doesn't do much ever. So now we're gonna take off the 4 corner bolts of the chassis. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bro. We have yet another new tool alert. This is gonna help me lower the subframe even better and easier, especially because I'm doing it by myself. Now that we have 2 jacks, we could put them up on each end and we can lower the subframe even better, easier, quicker, faster. Okay, so I'm just gonna use this 2 jack method. I'm gonna put one on each side of the frame. That's gonna help me lower the frame in a controlled manner so it just doesn't fall on the floor. Continue loosening all 4 bolts, and then we're gonna drop it down. You don't really want to use impacts on these. They're on there really tight, and if you use an impact, it could strip the edges. So just get a breaker bar like I have right here, and then I put a pipe around it, and then we're just gonna slowly loosen it. We're gonna take them completely out now with the ratchet, and we're gonna let it land on these jack stands, and then lower it together. And then I'm gonna go ahead and just take them out the rest of the way with an impact since they're already basically out. I'm just gonna double check everything up here, make sure nothing's connected to the actual subframe. It's always good to double check. There's zip tie on here. We would have dropped it with the zip tie on, it would have pulled this whole cord. So I'm gonna go around double checking everything. Also forgot to mention something. This bracket right here, it houses another motor mount that goes into the transmission, but mine doesn't have it. So all I had to worry about was the one in the back, and then we're gonna remove these as well. We'll get to that when we start removing the transmission. We want it held up right now so it doesn't fall. So now I'm gonna go to the back ones, do them slowly as well. I'm just gonna take both jacks. Just gonna kind of hold it right here while I bring them down on each side. It looks like it's coming out smoothly. All right, cool. Just like that, they're out. So take the subframe out. So now we're gonna put this on the tarp so it doesn't dirty anything, and then we're gonna take the transmission out. I don't really recommend doing this, but don't want to put too much weight on this because it'll bend it. So make sure it's loose like that. We're gonna do the same on this side. Upon further inspection, this is the side where the engine and the oil pan is and where the pulley is. Look at all this sludge. It looks nice and fresh. And I did notice some oil under the pan, so we gotta see where that leak is coming from. So now I'm gonna put the jack to the engine. So with the wood, it helps it spread the force evenly, so it's not just in one pressure point. If it was just this, there's that oil that was leaking everywhere. Look, it's all in there, all right here. This is all I've been waiting for all my life. Now I'm gonna finally do my clutch. I've been dreaming ever since I could dream. Let's hope I don't break anything today. And on this side, we're gonna put this jack to hold up the transmission while we take all the bolts off. It's gonna slide right on here. Okay, I'm gonna go over all the bolts we need to take off. It's gonna be 2 up top, which is this one right here, under this hard line. There's another one back here, and there's some on the bottom. So let's take these 2 out, and then we'll go to the bottom and take those out as well. Okay, you have to take this one off. We're gonna take off the lower bolt for the starter. 2 are gonna be these 2 right here. Boom, boom. Start taking them out with the ratchet now, just a little bit. Okay. So the top one's longer than the bottom one. In order to get the transmission out, we have to remove this arm right here, because if not, it's gonna hit right here. Just comes right out. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove these 3 bolts up here. I'm just gonna take these down. I'm gonna take this top one out. I left the 2 top bolts in partially, just so when I pull this out, it doesn't like completely pull out. So we'll go back and forth, and it looks like it's splitting already. See this crack right here? It already split. So now we just take these top bolts out, and then we're gonna be able to lower it down. So I'm just gonna take my pry bar and kind of push this out. There it goes. So we'll start lowering this right here. Lower it a little bit, and then kind of push and pull back. You just kind of got to work this out. The whole car in here? Okay, let's check this out. After a lot of fighting and hard work, it's finally out. What even is a clutch, and how does it allow you to drive smoothly while changing gears? First things first is a flywheel. This goes connected to the engine. This is an actual lightweight flywheel. This is friction plate right here. It goes sandwiched in between the flywheel and the pressure plate. This is what transfers the energy from the crankshaft to the transmission, which then allows your car to move forward or backwards. So this is the clutch, finally, after all our hard work. So now we're gonna take off these bolts right here, and then we're gonna take off the flywheel bolt. Now I know when my clutch wasn't working, you can see the springs right there that flew out of the friction plate. To unbolt this, I just put a wrench up here on one of these bolts, and then I put a bolt in, and this should hold it in place while we take off the other bolts. I just wanna get them as loose as possible, and then we'll get the ratchet in here. So I'm gonna use the impact just to bring them out. So this should pop out. You see the springs fall out right now. So there's a spring missing in here. There's a competition clutch. Still had pretty decent move. But you see where the wear plate is on this. It's not wearing evenly. It looks like this clutch was too big for this ring. You can see right here, the wear is on the inside, and it's supposed to be out here. In order to take these off, I mean, we have nowhere to grab this onto for it to stop spinning. So I'm gonna get one of the pressure plate bolts, like a 13 mil, and a bolt from the housing of the transmission. I'm gonna screw this in pretty deep because I don't want any threads to strip on it. And I'm gonna grab this, be like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be like so it doesn't come out, because you'll see why right now. I'm gonna rotate this back a little bit. See, now that's gonna allow me to go ahead and break these loose. So we're gonna loosen these in the star pattern. Just try loosening this one right here. I'm gonna do the top one. Remember, you wanna take them out slowly. You don't want anything to fuck up. Oh, this is an old flywheel. Shit is heavy. Stock. We're gonna clean this area up, and then we're gonna swap this seal out. This is the rear main seal. Okay, so this I bought on Amazon. It comes with the rear main seal. This one right here. This rear main seal basically will hold the oil from coming out of the crankshaft. So if you ever see an oil leak in between your engine and your transmission, it's most likely going to be this, because this is the only way oil can leak out. So just keep that in mind. We're just gonna check the condition back here. Everything looks good, honestly. We're gonna put some of this oil. Just push the rear main seal in. Okay, so now I'm gonna get this extension. I'm gonna lightly tap it all in, make sure it goes in evenly all around. We don't want to damage this new one. So I got the seal in, fully seated. You're gonna feel a difference. It's gonna feel like it's not gonna go in anymore. And you don't want to hit it harder than that. And you have the bearing. This is gonna line up with the shaft right here. It's gonna go around this edge right here. Once it gets in the engine, it's gonna get press fit, so it's gonna fit snug. I'm gonna work on putting this in, make sure it goes in straight, and remember, make sure this hole's clean so nothing messes this up. I'm gonna get my hammer and then just tap it and make sure you're hitting it flat. Before I put this up there, this has a film of oil on it, so I just want to clean that off. These are the new ARP bolts I bought. They're a collab with Action Clutch, so it's gonna fit this flywheel perfectly. I just want to hand thread these in, and then I'm gonna torque them to spec after. Usually I would put red Loctite on these, but this says not to. This says dry installation is recommended, and I recommend to use Loctite. They're a lot very similar. I'll put some high temp grease just right here in the edge, just on one side, just so when I torque it down, it's not metal to metal and it has something to glide on and it won't mess up the torque specs. So we're gonna do that to all the bolts before we put them on. It says to torque it down to 110 foot-pounds. I don't want to do the 110 right away because it might torque down unevenly. I'm gonna torque it down in steps. So the first step's gonna be 30 foot-pounds, and we're gonna do crisscross patterns. When you guys do this, like with the ratchet, just make sure you're not on the threads because you will crush them. This bolt has a shoulder on it, so that's why I said screw it all the way in, and this is just gonna rest on here. As you can tell, this has two sides. It has a raised side and a flat side. And usually it'll indicate where it goes. See this flywheel side, so it's gonna go facing the flywheel. Before we put it in, we're gonna insert our guide. And we're gonna put it in there. This goes on only one way, so if it doesn't fit, keep turning it and you should find the location it goes on. So put the top ones in just to hold the plate in so it doesn't fall out. See, I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna put a little bit amount of grease on these edges right here, just so when we torque it down, it's not metal on metal. Also going to put on some blue Loctite. So you're gonna keep these from backing out because this area does have a lot of vibration. And then we're just gonna snug them down. We're just gonna do that exact same thing to all these bolts, so I'm just gonna do that now. Torque these in a star pattern, just like we did the flywheel, 20 foot-pounds. My cameraman's tapping out, and then all you have to do is just put everything back together, and that's it. Call it a night. My cameraman is, so we'll see you guys back tomorrow morning. The little rolly things. Come on, let's go test it out. We just kind of got it washed too, so. See, it goes into every gear, like before it didn't go into any, and then now it's not even making that chirping noise anymore, so it drives amazing, the power's all there, and it's a bit lighter than the last stage 2 clutch I had, because I had the 6-puck, this is a full disc, so it's just a bit lighter, more comfortable for daily driving, and it's the best upgrade I've made so far.